Well, good morning and good afternoon and good evening to wherever you may be in this great, big, wonderful, wide world of ours. Coronavirus, top topic so far, and it has affected all of us as far as our daily lives are concerned, as far as our businesses are concerned, and as far as everything that we do is concerned. So let's just chat quickly about some of the things that are going on this earth, and racing is what we're all about. So we love racing, and we love to be able to chat about racing and find out from people what is going on in their lives. Phil Georgiou will be live with us in about 10 minutes time, but let me get into South African racing first, because South African racing is what we're all about. And I can tell you that there was a task team formed which is going to help with the restructuring of racing in South Africa. And that consists of Brian Riley, who's the chairman of the Racing Association, and his co-directors, Savage, de Kock, and Smith are the three co-directors, with David Avery joining the team. David Avery, big owner and well-known racing man. He should be of great assistance to them. Hello, Nikki, how are you? Big Vodacom Durban, July. The news this week that the race will be run on the 25th of July hello Paresh, nice to have you aboard as well. 25th of July at Vodacom, Greyville, Hollywood Bets. Greyville is the race course. Vodacom is still the sponsors, and it will be the race as normal, except there'll be no one there, no crowds. So that's one of the ones. Hello, Danny. Nice to have you on board as well. So that's where we start with the July, which is great news if we get there. Who knows what's going to happen, where and when and how we're going to get there. After we chatted to Paul last week, it was announced that Phumelela had gone into business rescue, as we all expected, and that a business rescue practitioner would be a guy called John Evans. I don't know him, and apparently he has some links to racing. And already, fallout from the business rescue is that our two head honchos, Mr. Stewart and Mr. Scott, have abdicated the throne and are on their way somewhere else. Hopefully, from my point of view, never to be seen again in horse racing. I don't think they did the business any service at all, except disservice. And it will be interesting. Hello, Arvin. Nice to have you on board as well. My mate Arvin joined us. Well, I work together with Arvin. Vivek, nice to have you there as well. And Arvin and I know each other quite well. He'll probably have a question or two for me. Let's go into the rest of the world. United States of America. Well, they're starting to open up tracks all over the world in America, and the racing is their oyster. They start with Churchill Downs is starting next week. Santa Anita starts tomorrow, the 15th, and I'm sure we'll be able to bet on it on Teletrack. So that might be quite interesting. They have a very good presentation team there, and well worth waiting if you're going to bet in America. Well worth waiting until the horses are at the post. You'll then see what the late money comes for. And America and Hong Kong, late money is vitally important. That seems to give you an idea of certainly a horse that you can have a bet for a place on. Woodbine in Canada opens on the 19th of May. And just wanted to let you know that if you're an Interbet account holder, you should go on there, and you get a 200% bonus on your deposit this week to play live games. So we know there are a lot of people out there to play live games. I played a few of their live games. They have Deal or No Deal is quite fun. All I can tell you, if you like Deal or No Deal, get out early. Take the money, take the profit, take the small profit and go. It very seldom works in your favor. Not like the game that we know. Right. So then you go on to, there's a poker game, and there's all types of games there. But they give you a 200% bonus this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to play with, and you certainly can do with that. You have to play 30 times the bonus, that I can tell you. So if you put 100 Rand in, you've got to pay 3,000 Rand, but it's quite easy to up and down, and you get there quite easily. Right, Sharton, Marrero, Zach Purton, they're fighting it out, and in fact, Purton is 2 ahead of Marrero after Wednesday. We'll be back with Sharton tomorrow or Sunday. I think it might be Sunday morning, and there especially wait for late money. British Racing, well, what's happened is that they've cut stakes to 80% of the previous minimums, 50% of the group racing, and they're hoping to get on board with racing in the very near future. But they look like they've got serious problems in Britain, and really I'm not sure that it's going to happen even as quickly as we happen. We're hoping to get racing. For those of you that are wondering what's going to happen, we're hoping to be racing by the beginning of the month. We believe that there are moves afoot to start before the beginning of the month. I'm talking about the beginning of the month as we're in May now, the beginning of June. But hopefully we'll be able to get going then. It gives July horses 7 weeks to prepare with a couple of runs to get ready for the July. I'm not sure what is going on there because we locked down. We're not allowed to go out there. Daniel, how are you? Anyone with any questions before we get Phil? Phil should be with us in 5 minutes. So any questions out there from any of you? You just have to type them in, and I'll do my best to answer them, because well, it will be interesting chatting to Phil, and we want to run that sort of seamlessly, and unless at the end you want to ask him any questions, because he's a proper racing man, Phil Georgiou. He's, as you'll hear from him, he's been involved in horses for as long as he knows, and I know he certainly went to school with guys like Michael Azzi and people like that. So he's been around, young Phil, and really knows the game. Let me have a sip of tea here before I get involved. Right, so we'll be chatting to him. Let's get back to South African racing. With the fallout from Phumelela and Business Rescue, what that means is that the Business Rescue practitioner will go into the business and work out whether it can be run as a profitable enterprise and make recommendations to the board. Now, the board is quite interesting there, and quite interesting that the board remains in place, although Stuart and Scott have gone. I don't know whether Scott was a board member, but the board, as they were, and I think Moses Tembi is the chairman of the board, he remains with the rest of his board. But some of the employees have already jumped the ship. Frank, nice to have you with us. Arvin, Interbet has volunteered to put 100% tote bets into the pool, I'm correct, which is a great initiative, and well, Arvin, I can tell you that Interbet has always put 100% into the tote pools. They do not run an open bet. They have a betting profile which allows bookmakers to price up on the one side, which is the bookmakers' side where they price up and allow you to bet. They then have a section which is the normal bookmaker's price. So the bookmaker's profile allows you to bet into bookmakers who have put up a better price than is being allowed there. But the tote, as far as Interbet is concerned, has always been run on the basis that there's no takeout from Interbet, none whatsoever. I think they get a commission, but as all big tote operators do, they're entitled to their commission. But no open bets, which is different from most bookmaking companies, which take the open bet and stand them themselves, which means the money doesn't go on the tote. It gets held by the bookmaker. If you win, they pay you out and they have limits, whereas on Interbet, there's no limit. You get paid out whatever the tote payment is. So that's why I've always been very keen on Interbet. Not only have they been very interesting, very good to us, but they've been a great company to work with, and certainly well worth getting into their live gaming and getting a 200% bonus. And Nikki, sorry, Mr. James, the trainers and owners who made entries for recent aboard races, we're not sure. We've had no feedback. I know there was a question I asked, and I would think that it should come back to them. What did happen in the meantime was the Racing Association has paid out a couple of the initiatives. I know there have been some people in Cape Town and this I can tell you because it's on the record, that have made applications for the 500 Rand bonus for horses that were not in racing stables, but were on their farms. Now, I find that absolutely abhorrent. When you get that type of situation, you just question where people are in this. The Racing Association are giving the owners a 500 Rand break. That's what it boils down to twice. That's for the first week in May and the second week in May. So that's what's happened as far as the entries are concerned. Unfortunately, with lockdown, they were all working on a skeleton staff, so it's not very easy to get hold of anyone in the racing office to find out what happened to those monies. But I did ask the question, and we will see what happens with the answers for that question. So that's quite interesting. But I just come back to that Racing Association grant. It's a grant to help owners. And there are quite a lot of horses in training, so they gave quite a lot of money away. If you think of it, if you had a yard of 40 horses, you get yourself 20,000 Rand every week. Phil Georgiou on the line. Let's chat to Phil. Phil, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Jimbo?
Excellent, thank you. I've got you on speakerphone, so I hope everyone can hear you out there. And great to have you on the line with us.
Thanks very much, Jimbo. Rather trying times. It's good to be able to have some sort of communication with people.
Okay, well, let's talk about you, because I know your business, firstly, must have been terribly hit by this, because you're in the travel business. That's your business, your core business.
Yeah, that's correct. I think it's well taken, well worth everywhere that the country that the travel industry has been the hardest hit. We're a small company, and we've already we've passed 5.5 million Rand worth of credits to the customers. We clearly lost on Super Saturday in Dubai. We lost at Dubai World Cup. And in fact, all we've just done is done credits, and we passed credits and all that. So we're actually in a dire situation. You know, we've got a situation now where I was explaining to somebody we've got nothing to sell, and we've got nobody to sell to. So you can imagine this. It's not a great situation, and we've been made since middle of January like this.
That is really hard to understand. Eric, nice to have you with us, and it's hard to understand how you go forward. What have you been able to put any measures in play whereby, because I know you own horses, so you're paying for horses as well.
Yeah, you know, horse racing is my passion. A lot of people will play golf and go once or twice a week and have a go at golf. I'm up at Summerfeld at least 3 times a week. I go look at my horses, I feed them, I take them carrots, I chat to the stable hands, the grooms. They've become part of my friendship and my life. And yeah, so it's very tough, and I'm really, very, very worried about the trainers and the situation of racing, because if the wheels don't start to turn very soon, I'll feel the worst of it.
All right, so let me ask you a question. What do you make of this COVID-19 virus, and what's your take on it? Because everyone's got a take.
You know, I think, first of all, let me say that I think the president had an opportunity on Wednesday night to make what I believe was an impact. I believe he lost the opportunity. You know, there are things that will not majorly affect the COVID situation that he could have unlocked and he could have passed. I mean, small things like, I'm a smoke hater. However, I think he could have made a big impact by just saying, as of Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or next Monday, we are allowing the sale of tobacco products, as exactly the same with the alcohol products. And I think he should have then turned around and used that opportunity to say, the country has bonded together. We're the envy of a lot of countries in the world that we've been able to control this virus so well. And almost as a payback to him, he could have said, right, because of you guys really coming towing the line, this is what we're going to do for you. However, and also like the clothing companies, how can you go into a shop and buy a vest but you can't buy a t-shirt? You can't buy slippers but you can't buy slops. So what I think he should have done was he should have applied the same social distancing and rules that apply for if you go down to the shops to buy your groceries. Certain amount of people in the shops. You have to sanitize in and out. You have to wear a mask. And for me, there's no difference. If you're going to catch a virus at the shop, you're going to catch a virus in the clothing shop. Give the people a chance to get the wheels of economy working and turning. Because at the moment, if they wait too much longer, they're going to seize up, and it's going to be a huge problem.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely 100% right, and I think that most sane, level-headed thinking South Africans feel exactly the same. As you can see on Twitter feeds and on WhatsApp feeds all over the country, and even on the news. You know, you've had some really diabolical interviews. The one with the leader of the DA, John Steenhuisen, yesterday on SABC went viral. Some of these interviews that some of our ministers have put on the television really are disappointing, to say the least.
Sometimes I wonder, we've got in our household and in my inner family, we've adopted just what we call the three-point Georgiou system. Can I just have very simply, number one, treat the situation as if you've got the virus and don't want to spread it.
Yes.
Number two, treat the situation as if everybody else has got the virus and you don't want to catch it.
Yeah.
And number three, if you just take your two closest people that you love, be it your spouse, your wife, your girlfriend, your grandson, and just adopt the attitude that you will take every step to make sure that you will not give that person the virus.
Yeah.
And practice those habits, I think then we can move forward without a problem.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The problem, as I see it, in a nutshell, as far as South Africa is concerned, we're so diverse. We have so many different cultures and types of people in this country. It's very difficult for everyone to understand the rules, and that seems to be the biggest problem we have.
I agree with you, but sometimes, James, you need to understand that certain people of different cultures and colors and creeds and everything will only really understand something when it comes from their own. And that's why I think almost the racing industry missed a massive opportunity. I think when they made their pledge to government to unlock the racing and to get it going, they should have taken a step back and said, let's think about what will give us our best shot. It's not, for me, it wasn't about sending in a letter or an interview with V. Moodley. I think we should have looked at the people that are in the racing game, like Dr. Pumla Nganga, you've got Moses and Tembu, very, very intelligent, highly respected people of color that understand the racing. They should have had those people on board to jointly fight for the case of opening up the racing. Had then somebody who knows this, Dr. Pumla Nganga personally said, why do you think we should open it up? She could answer first and say, I'm involved in being the ex-chief lady at Gold Circle. I can answer it. This is the way we're going to do it. I think everybody's in the process now of doing a fantastic TV scrolling video and showing the efforts that are being made by the racing industry, including the traders who have taken on plenty costs themselves, and including the racing at Rheindies and at Summerveld, where all the grooms come through a gate, they are tested for their temperatures, they wash their hands with sanitizer, the stables have all those in place at the stables. That's what we should be showing on TV, and when those interviews were taking place, when even Bjorn Smith was done, they should have had something put together. Everyone would have done it in half a day. They said, we know we're going on TV or we're going on radio tomorrow, we need some footage to scroll, show the positive side of what we in racing are doing to combat the COVID-19 virus. They didn't. They showed bush racing, they showed the Vodacom during July, they showed Summer Cup, they showed masses of people gathering. That's not what we needed to portray.
Yeah, it's correct, and as the people are saying on the feed, okay, and it just is quite interesting what you're saying, in that it didn't seem like we were prepared to go and do those TV interviews correctly. Now, where does that come from, Phil? It comes from the diverse nature of racing in South Africa at the moment, where you have three bunches pulling against each other, and then there are another three bunches that are pulling against each other as well. So you don't really have the cohesion, and this is what worries me going forward. are we going to get that cohesion? Is Kenilworth, Gold Circle, Phumelela as a three racing entities going to pull together 100%? Or are they going to pull together 75% because they've got 25% agenda? This is what worries me as an outsider and a pure racing person.
Yeah, James, I think the problem stems in a lot of instances. We need the purists to run racing. We need the purists to employ in racing. You should have people coming to races. You should have people, it should be in their job description. If you're employed in the racing game, it's your job to be at the races, to promote racing and to talk about racing and to on the spot sort out if there's any issues that you feel you can sort out. It's no good having a clothing guru come and try and sort out racing problems. There's a different mentality, a different side of racing. You need to understand it to be able to make a consummate decision. You've got, just on the television side, you've got Frankie Victoria was a Group 1 on enabled. There's mass hysteria. People are going mad. The excitement is there. That's the ball. The excitement of racing. Instead, they'll rather cross you in the racing and gong that's going to produce 1,200 rands worth of betting money. Someone needs to take a step back and say, we understand that you need to get money out. Then put it in the corner. Leave these 3/4 of the screen on Frankie and showing the Group 1 international side of racing. And if you want to have a bet on gong, you can look in the corner and decide what you want to bet. If you feel that you're good enough to on TV to horse going to the start and gong and make a decision.
Phil, you're speaking to the converters as far as I'm concerned. My feeling we should dedicate the 6 hours of racing in South Africa to the 6 hours of racing in South Africa. And the sideshow can be just that, a sideshow. You can have it in a corner screen or a split screen. You better in a quarter screen, so that those that are interested in that can see that. But the show, as far as we're concerned, and this has always been my argument, we turn over very much more money on the South African product than we do on the overseas product. I'm talking about 10 or 20 times as much money on any single race, okay? Now, surely you want to grow that market rather than try and grow the other market. The other market is very hard to grow, and the percentages in terms of growth and future increments that you get from that is minuscule. So why even bother trying to promote that market? Use that market for the people that want to get involved there, but grow your market. Isn't that? That makes sense to me.
James, I think it comes back to the 90-10 rule. 10% of the racing show gives us 90% of our profit, and 90% of the racing showing is giving us 10%, which is right. We should sit back, look at what gives us our money, look at what's wasting time, even though it's pennies, get rid of that, and at the same time, I think that you need to get a professional, dedicated team of professionals that will spend hours analyzing, studying, and people like that are on TV, that are tipping it on. Personally, I've said it for years now, they should be incentive-based. So in other words, you're a TV presenter, you are there to guide the public into backing winners. You should be incentive-based, and if you're tipping winners, you get paid more, especially different prices. So there should be some sort of organization come up with. If you tip 6 winners on a card, you get so much. If they under the odds are so much, you get so much. And that way, it will force the people that are tipping to, number one, study harder. Number one, get it back to do their homework on what they can find out. Because that is really what you want to do. You want to disseminate correct information that will make the public, give them more opportunity to decipher how they want, what they want to back. At the moment, it's no good babbling on, I like 2, 3, and 4, and my colleague here likes 2 and 4. That doesn't help. You need to get people on the facts. Yeah, I believe that sometimes tipping as they're going into the start is an absolute waste of time.
I see. Phil, I see what you're saying, and there is merit in everything that you said, because you understand the business like most people don't, because you never miss a race meeting. You're always at the races. You love the races. Joe says, bollocks, the majority of punters don't watch racing for 6 hours. Well, he's wrong, because if you walk into a Tattersalls or tote betting office, people sit there all afternoon. People sit at home all afternoon and watch the racing. They watch racing. They love watching racing, but the local show must be produced of such a high standard that the person that's watching that not only wants to have a bet, but will have a bet because he's getting the proper information. And this is where you come from with the information that is given over the screen. The information has got to be the top information. And then people are absolutely enchanted by it. You watch Hong Kong racing, they have 5 or 6 panelists, okay? One in the parade ring, she tells her piece. She talks about the horses walking around the parade ring. 3 panelists that sit together and each give their information with one guy running the show. And then there's guys at the start who talk about the money for the horses. And that is how you lead up to a race. You will get maximum investment by doing it that way. But the guys who are doing all those jobs have got to have credibility. The problem in South Africa is a lot of them do not have the credibility or the knowledge.
I think the other thing is as well is the one big word is entertainment. You know, I remember when Andrew 14 used to win a race. People used to clamor to the TV screens because there was entertainment. He was humorous. He made a lot of jokes. He had a go wherever he wanted to. He had a go to fellow riders for outriding in the finish. If we could create a product, and I say it with respect to Joe, we could create a 6-hour show that people would hate to miss.
Yeah.
Because there was continual entertainment, be it information, feedback on horses that didn't win, and that sort of thing. Then people will go, I go to the races, and in a lot of instances, I don't listen to the interviewers because I don't believe that they accurate enough to advise.
Do you I want to just stop you on that point. Do you believe they study as hard as you study?
Definitely not.
Okay, so that's the point. Hello? Sorry, Phil?
Yeah. No, so I said, I study, people say, how long do you study on a race card? It's different because, some meetings, you look at a field and you look at a horse and you've got your list of horses that you've been waiting, right? They look at them, they look at you, 5 minutes later, you've gone into form grid, you've checked the replays, and in 5 minutes, you've analysed first, second, and third in your opinion. I then could take an hour on a race because sometimes the collateral form lines are very difficult. I'm a form studier, but I use weight and distance as well. A lot of people, I don't know how they study, but I just can only study with what the facts give. And in the beginning with body racing, it was very confusing because horses were getting beat quite a far away, and then they were reversing the form. You then needed to spend a little bit more time analysing why they got beat so far. Did they act in the game? It's a very important factor for me is when the horse moves from the poly back to the grass. His grass form was good, the poly form had gone bad. It looks like he's gone off form. In actual fact, he hasn't gone off form. He's just hasn't acted on the surface.
Yeah, you see, and that comes back to actually watching replays. And then it's no good watching a replay if you can't analyze the race. And I remember you and I found a winner just before lockdown. It was about 12-1. That should have been 3-1. And the reason it won was because its last start, it raced so wide at Greyville on the grass, it never actually got a chance. But it did run on and got beaten about 5 lengths. And we had picked it up by watching the replay. But that was analyzing the replay of that race and being able to understand how that race worked out. Now, if you have a panel of specialists showing the replay and telling people like they do in Hong Kong, they show everything in Hong Kong. Every single horse they go through and show the latest run or the latest work and analyze it. Then you can make up your mind as a punter. You're getting the information you need to get.
No, James, when I went to Hong Kong racing a couple of years back, myself, Trevor Furry, Trevor Brown, Mike DeCock had that race horse running in the Kiwi, and unfortunately it got scratched a few days before we decided we were going to go anyway. And I made a bad calculation into the time it would take me to get to Hong Kong racing. So what I did was we got there 2.5 hours before the first race. And when we got
That's not a problem to you.
But no, I love it. So when I got to the races, the people said, do you know the bed? Do you know what next day off? We found our facility that we were going to race at because it was obviously still the fancy facility where the owners of the connections of the horses on the day were running. And the lady came to us with 2 iPads. She said, right, guys, here's an iPad. It's linked to the Hong Kong Jockey Club. Let me put it on to you. Let me show you. They had every single horse, the betting moves on the day, It showed you the 2 gallops of that horse, the previous 2 workouts of that horse. It showed you the horse's last run. So in 2.5 hours was not enough time for me with that iPad. I mean, I couldn't put it down. When the first race came, I was almost disappointed that I hadn't finished going through every race. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and during the break between races, you get up-to-date information all the time and useful information. Not this information we're getting, oh, my mate so-and-so's in the parade ring, or, this was, and I'm not having a go at any one presenter. Those things should not come into it. It should be a business, and it should be run as a business. As far as the people that are presenting are concerned, they should be 100% above talking personally. There should be no personal interaction whatsoever when you're breaking down racing.
Yeah, I think you're right in this, but there's got a place. I think the guys certainly have done a marvelous job. They try their best to get hold of the connections that have got horses with chances on the day, and they really try very hard. But it almost should be that you have to. I remember in the one race in England, the one jockey's horse got beat, and he was angry about it. And he walked past, and the interviewer wanted to talk to him, and he said, "I'm not there." He walked away. 10 seconds ago, he said, "I apologize." He realized how important the media are. If they want to know firsthand, you've got people who are favourite. We don't want to know firsthand immediately why, and the public are entitled to know why.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is, it goes back to what I said earlier. Presenters, you should have presenters, and you should have tipsters. They're different people.
Yes.
The tipsters should be put on an incentive. If you're on form and you're tipping winners, you get a nice check. If you're on form and you're not tipping winners, you don't want to do your homework, you should be paid pittance, you should be starving, and that's because you don't do your homework. End of story.
Yeah. I agree with you, and everything you say is right. Let's get to racing itself and talk about what's happened now in the last 2 months since we've had this lockdown. There have been a lot of changes, a lot of things happened. How do you see the business rescue Phumelela and the way forward, the sales dates, all those type of things?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, I think it's bitterly disappointing. There's a big chain reaction coming. The chain reaction, I think, starts with the breeders. The Nationals were supposed to be in the middle of April. That's come and gone. They haven't got a place to sell the horses. I see there's 2 sales coming online now. People are going to try and sell their horses online. But the most important, you've got to find, where are you going to find people that are going to want to buy those horses? Who is in their right mind going to go and pay out 250 grand for a baby? He's going to feed it for a year before it's going to run. Where are you going to find these people? These are people with high intelligence.
Yeah, I think the sales is in for the biggest downturn we could ever imagine.
It's terrible because the knock-on effect goes to the breeders, it goes to the people that are trying to breed, it goes to the value of the stallions, it goes to the euthanasia of horses that people don't want anymore. And so, it's one thing saying we go to the sales, we're going to pick up a profit. You're still going to feed that horse for a whole lot of time. Certainly Zachary has given his owners a small reduction in their costs and all that. A lot of the costs within the racing stable are fixed costs. They're very difficult to reduce down by a dramatic amount.
Yeah.
So, of course, I feel the worst for racing for a long time, as in the journal. I think the cutting off stakes is inevitable. I think the majority of the diehards, the purists like myself, will race for anything as long as we get out onto the track and we watch our horses race. I think it's very important. The racehorses are of utmost importance, the welfare of them, and the chain reaction is very important. Cogging the wheel is the stable hands and the grooms, because they are looking after the value of horses that are hundreds of thousands and millions of rands, and they do a marvelous job, and they deserve every bit of accolade that we can give them.
Yeah, it's a desperate situation, and unfortunately, it's not going to get any less desperate with the reduction in stakes. The problem is, are we able to revive this industry to a stage where it is almost where it should be, and not where it was, because where it was wasn't where it should be?
James, I think what's very important is, like I said earlier, you can't have a clothing guru come and try and run racing. You've got to get pure orientated that understand racing, that have business acumen. You've got lots of wealthy people with massive businesses. You've got the Brahms, you've got Lawrence Werners, you've got the Cliffs Large, you've got a lot of guys with big businesses that the Chris Finney have done very well in business that can run them. They need to run business racing for the sake of racing, make racing decisions. And right down the line, right up the line, there should be incentive based. If racing does well, they do well. If racing doesn't do well, they should do well. That's bottom line. That's how I feel about it.
I completely agree with you. I believe every single person in racing salary should be an incentive-based salary. Whether you're a tote manager or racing a handicapper, so that you're getting the fields right and getting the field size right. There's ways of incentivizing any single person that works in the racing industry, and it goes to the event managers, to everything. And you've got a starting point, and you can start working from there. Because there is huge improvement to be made in this business if you start running it correctly.
You know, James, at the end of the day, as I said, it's all about experiences and all about entertainment. And if you can try and get, we're worried about getting people to the races. Sure, we get lots of newcomers to the races. They come once, they have a great time, they go away. There isn't a doubt in my mind that the hospitality facilities in racing are amongst the best in the world and the best value around. If you think that you can go to Grable or to Turpentine, you can get yourself a really good meal for around 160 rand.
Yeah.
3-course meal, eat all day, eat as much as you want, massive variety, and you're getting 5,000 or 6,000 entertainment. You can't get that anywhere. Plus, the people have a good time. The problem we've got is, how do we capture those people? How do we follow up on that? How do we give them an unforgettable experience? And how do we capture that part, like the casinos do, that makes them want to come back and enjoy that
well,
experience again?
Yeah, I can answer that question. There's only one way. You've got to have a database, and you've got to keep building your database. And I wonder, and I've had this discussion with a couple of people, I wonder, like those prawn festivals and all those promotions that these race clubs have, how many people do they have on a database from those promotions? And if they have so many people, are they actually then getting back to that target market and trying to get them more involved in the sport?
No doubt about it. In Mauritius, James, there's an opportunity or a facility that they allow you. You can be made an owner for a day. So in other words, I went off to Mauritius racing about 6 months ago. As you know, I'm doing the development in Mauritius. I'm building some more land there, some more units for investment.
Yeah.
Christian Raffes is a friend of mine and a couple of runners on the day, and he made me an owner on the day with him. Why? Because he wanted me to go into the parading, and he wanted me to hopefully have that horse win, and he needed to get it. It becomes trophies for them. I don't know why. Anyway, we need to think about the ways that we can get people to have that one-day owning experience. I can tell you now, as an owner, I know at one stage I think I had as much as 15 or 16 horses. On every single one of my horses, I'll be quite relaxed. If a couple of people that weren't owners or weren't friends of mine, people I didn't even know, had come up to the races, and we decided to get them a racing experience. If you've got people that are sponsored a race on day, you need to say to me, who have you got coming? If you've got any big cash prize coming, want to impress, right, we're going to make those guys honorary owners of the horse on the day. They can welcome, we put a part of my side of it. They can become owners of my horse. They come stand in the parading. They listen to the jockey. They get a few photographs. At least the horse wins, like it happened with one of my horses won. And I think it was Johnson's had a function. They get 2 tables a race meeting. They had about 30 of their staff there. And I just picked 2 couples. I said, hey guys, have you ever been to the parading before? They said, never. I said, come to the parading. And these four youngsters that I've seen in their mid-30s came to the ring. They had photographs. They couldn't believe that the jockey would take photographs for them. And then below and behind the horse won. So of course we were all excited as hell. I grabbed these 4 and said, come, you guys come and leave the horse in. So the 2 guys said, no, the girls must go. They go. Anyway, these 2 girls left the horse in, and they had a most unbelievable time. 5 months later, I've got picture of this winner on my wall in the box at Gravel. And my son comes and says, Dad, how do you know these people? I said, well, I don't. I said, because I don't even know what their names are, but we gave them an experience. He said, well, Dad, this girl's dad is the chairman of that company, and this girl's married to a friend of mine. But now we've lost that opportunity by not having the details and not being able to talk. Now, you know what? You don't have to buy a horse, but there's a lease horse available. Because there's a lot of horses now that are going to become on lease for lease because people are not going to sell their horses. They're going to give it to the trainers to lease. There's an opportunity to get a whole lot of new owners in on a lease-type basis and get them to pay the monthly cost, but give them the racing experience.
That's what's called building the profile, Phil, and that's the most important thing that you can do in racing is build the profile. And you don't know who you're going to build it to. You've just got to keep adding people to a data bank. That's the bottom line.
You know,
keep them involved.
All girls are getting girls, and what happens is I've seen it in the industry. My sister's very involved in the horse jumping industry. If a young girl taught by somebody and she finds a horse that she really loves, the father will pay just about anything to buy that horse for that daughter because that's just the way life works. It's the same with racing. We need to sometimes not go to the 65-year-old fathers, but maybe get to the kids rather and get to that missing link. There's a missing link in racing between, let's say, 50 and 45 years old at the moment. It's people that have been to races when they were younger. They haven't pursued the interest. They don't realize what a great night out can be. I mean, another example, if you go to Hong Kong racing midweek, you go to Happy Valley. At the 200-meter mark at Happy Valley is a walking hole, which is the trendy place for people to be seen. So what did they do? They created a vibe for people to come in. Now you've got a couple of thousand people that clamor to get to that bar on a Wednesday for midweek racing.
Yeah, that's
it's unbelievable.
Building,
I don't know what
building the product, Phil. You know, and the thing is, the one thing about you, and I'm just going to enlarge on you a little bit for those that don't know, and there will be many people watching this. You're not only a racing purist, but you've traveled the world, and you put on, I don't know, maybe 20 years of trips to Dubai. I don't think there's anyone that ever went on one of your trips that didn't have the time of their lives, you know. So how do you do it? You do it because you are involved, okay? Anyone that needs anything or wants anything, you are able to answer their question and do it for them. Those are, to me, that is the most endearing personable people to have in this industry, people that want to help and have the answers. Now, those are two qualities that not many people have. A lot of people want to help in the service industry, but don't have the answers. A lot of people have the answers, but they don't really want to help. To be both of those is a real credit to you. And I must say, I've been to Dubai with you on a number of occasions. I've never really been part of the team, but I go as a journalist, but you look after me as one of yours. And you look after everyone. There are people that just hang on and come from everywhere to your jaw, if I can call it that.
Yeah. You know, James, at the end of the day, just so you know, this would have been our 22nd consecutive year to Dubai. It's unbelievable, and I started sending out on social media a couple of the pics from yesterday. Even Martin contacted me and said, gee, was it funny we could get it back to this. So then we had over 100 people in Dubai just from South Africa.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have our travel business has two mottos. The first motto is very simple. The success of any of our trips are a direct relation to the efforts that are put in the planning stages. So very simply, if like now I've got a proposed group who's going off in August in Greece. I went off before Super Saturday to Greece. I did an inspection on the boat, modified a few things, added aircons onto the boat, made sure that the alcohol was getting delivered, made sure what was delivered. I made sure that they replaced all the mattresses, all little things like that. The second motto we have is very simple. There are no strangers on our trips, just friends that haven't met. And we live by that. No matter how much of a hard time I may get from some of the people, we have to think that everybody goes home with a memory that they cannot ever replace.
Yeah. Well, that happens. And just as far as your horses in training at the moment, just winding up, what do you got? Have you got anything that looks decent? Because I know You've been around the world. You went with your big horse.
Harry's son.
Yeah, Harry's son.
Harry's son was fantastic for us. He took us around the world. I never missed a meeting. I never missed one of his runs, and I went from Spain to France to England to Dubai. We went and saw him in Mauritius when he was quarantined there. So yeah, big horses like that, people say to me, it costs you a lot of money. You never earned what he could have earned back in South Africa. Would you do it again? I said, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Not even a decision. Of course I would.
Yeah.
He was one of those horses I remember we came to Cape Town for the Guineas. People said, are you crazy? We said, listen, this is the Guineas. We get one chance as a field to get to the Guineas. And we did. We took our chances and we got beat by Active War, one of the champions around at that stage. Went on to be Star Stallion. But Harry's son he had to travel. He flew in there, stood on the tarmac at the airport when we arrived for 2.5 hours before the flight arrived to fetch him. So we were up against it, but we still ran a creditable circuit,
The bottom line is, Phil, and this is the bottom line we need to get out to everyone that is interested or half interested in racing. You cannot buy the experience. No one can buy it. There have been people, Mike Rattray's trying to buy a July winner. I mean, and there's 80s, the old bugger is. And he's trying to buy a July winner. He can't buy a July winner with all the money in the world. He cannot buy a July winner, okay? He might buy one this year. I don't know. But that's his life's ambition. Money can't buy these experiences.
Well, Hitmaster cost 15 grand, You must remember that horses don't know what they cost. You can buy the best paid horse with the best conformation. He gets beat by a horse like that Sprinter that went to Hong Kong.
Yeah, JJ the jet plane.
JJ the jet plane. You wouldn't, if he's still in the ring, you wouldn't buy it. You may not even take him if they gave it to you because of the fact that you have to pay the staging every month.
Exactly.
But Lucky did a marvelous job with him, got the best out of him. He won internationally, and he took those owners on a ride at night. So you cannot, the high of owning a racehorse and having it win is just the most magnificent feeling. And people we need to just portray that feeling and that opportunity. We need to give more people the opportunity. That's what point I'm trying to make.
Correct.
People get the opportunity without costing them a fortune. They may get bitten by the bug and maybe syndicate a horse amongst people that are there. I have no qualms about owning 10% or 5% horses. I just have it for the enjoyment. It's my horse. Whether I have 5% or whether I've got 55%, that's no difference.
Well, Phil, on that high note, I really want to thank you for coming and joining us today. It's, always insightful chatting to you. You know the business backwards, inside out. I'm sure we'll come out of this and we'll meet at the races one day. Thank you so much.
Why not? Thanks very much, James.
Thank you, Phil. Phil Georgiou, thanks for joining us. And there you go. Here's a man who's got multiple investments, makes money out of all types of things. I don't know that he doesn't make money out of doing tours to Dubai. So he should. He does them brilliantly. But he's got these properties he's developed in Mauritius. His brother is the main developer, the huge golf course in the Cape. They're guys that have been steeped in racing from the beginning of their days. Let me just go back and answer a few questions that have been posed. And the first one I'm going to say is Daniel Henning. Not much news of business regarding their business rescue. Do you know if the cash the Oppenheimers put in will be used to offset debt, or is it to cover running costs only? Daniel, I can tell you that the money that the Mary Oppenheimer and the Daughters Fund put in was to allow racing to get to the stage where they will be able to continue racing and be able to do so without not being able to pay their bills. Phumelela can't pay their bills. There are a lot of conditions attached to it, or certain conditions attached to it, which mean the money is not just a gift. The money is there to make use of, to ensure that racing starts up and gets going on the right footing. Joe has a lot to say, and Joe always has a lot to say about 6 hours of racing and this and that and the other, but Joe and I don't talk on the same page as far as that's concerned, but he will talk on the same page because I know that he sits at home and watches every single race. every single race meeting, because if you say something to him, he answers it. Okay. Right. Let's see. There's another question here. Daniel, again, football manager. They all sound like they're an awe of jockeys, and well, that's quite right. That seems to be the problem. Major improvement, Steve Reed, thanks to joining us. Major improvement needed, and he's quite right. This dissemination of information, form, sectional timing changes, etc., etc. Compare how we shape against proper racing jurisdictions. Information is vital. Well, that's my take right the way through. Whatever I'm trying to say that you've got to give as much good information. You can give information, but if it's bad information, you're just going to piss everyone off. Okay. And John, nice having football manager John on. Be careful wanting to be like Hong Kong. Too much market is very, very accurate, and you want mistakes. Well, I don't think that's what we're trying to say, John, and nice to have you with us. You want information, and you want to run a show. It must be like a reality show. The problem with racing is it is not run like a reality show. It should be a reality show in that you're able to get the human side of it, and you're able to get the information that you need. And you won't, as he says quite rightly, you won't just get the information from watching one replay, but you will get the information from people being able to tell you how to break down the replay and where to look for pointers that are going to give you an idea or an advantage over others. Whether you use it or not is completely up to you as a punter. And that's the whole point with information. Not every punter is going to use the information the same. One punter is going to look at the information you give him and say, no, well, I don't think that made that much difference to the horse's last run or whatever. Another punter will say that is crucial, and in this field, it is even more crucial to me. So that's what happens with punter. And Joe's International Racing Club, they certainly do a great job. They help everyone. Gold Circle is the only center that have their replays on YouTube. Well, that is because Phumelela have always had this teletrack.com that they want to sell, okay? So that's the problem. They want to, everything was money generated. Try and sell your product, try and do this and then the other. Rubbish. People must be able to get it. It's the same with Form Grids. Form Grids as a study guide was unbelievable, was a fantastic study guide. And I think next week I'm going to try and get David Safi on here because he can give us the update as far as he's concerned. I'm sure he'd love to come on. And he's very, very racing orientated. And he runs an unbelievable program. So what did Phumelela do? They formed a rival group called a Race Game or Race something or other. And I mean, that is really butchering yourself. Why would you want to form a rival group because you don't like the guys that are running the main group? Rather sit down with them and say to them, listen, guys, I don't like the way you talk to me. I don't like the way you said things in the past, but let's put bygones to be bygones. Let's go and work it out. Let's go and see if we can't find common ground, and let's help you. And let's make this into something that's going to be beneficial to all of our punters. No, they decided, no, they were to hell with them. We're going to rather bury them. That's the problem. They wanted to bury everyone, and they buried themselves. Okay. Let's go and see what Brian James has got to say. Even a chance to win a meal voucher for next meeting. You're right. Anything that you can give people will get them to the races. And I know Hollywood Bets and Grable do it on Friday nights. It's on a losing ticket situation. I think there are other ways to do it. And my belief is that you should be starting to look at loyalty cards and all that type of thing. And I think that really that's about it. There's not much else that we can chat about. Vivek says the handicapping is ridiculous. Horses are being overrated. Well, we know that where they put up this was all these things you must understand have a subtext and something that the runners of the industry, Phumelela mainly, wanted to get past. They wanted to get something out of it, okay? And everything that they did, including the penalty points that they put on horses, all had a subplot. These things will come out in the wash. Let's leave it at that. And let's say you just have a great week's racing because we now Hong Kong this weekend. We've got Australia. We got the bonuses with Interbet. I want to thank you all for joining me, and especially the guys that come every single week to listen to what we've got to say. Hope you've had a good show and look forward to next week. Let's get David Safi. That should be fun.